Hello class and welcome to our screencast and Edpuzzle on angles, triangles, and the introduction to our project. So the first thing we're going to go over, and you saw some of this in your videos, but just a quick review, is how to name an angle. All right, so I like to draw. Most people draw this symbol. I like to put one of these through it so it doesn't look like a less than. So this is my symbol for angle. And this angle right here can be just angle X, but if it's joined with other angles around it, we're not going to know which angle X because they're all going to have X at the point. So the better way to do it is to use 3 letters. And we have to put them in order. So we can do W, X, Y. Or we can go the other way, Y, X, W. Notice that the X is in the middle of each of these, and that's going to be the vertex or the point of it. So the vertex is always in the middle when you're naming an angle. A new angle, and this is the vertex or the point. So go ahead and write down the 3 different names of this angle, and then in Edpuzzle, choose the choice that is not a correct name of this angle. Next, we're going to go over how to measure angles. And this little doodad is a protractor. Some of you may have used them in 5th grade, and some of you may have never seen one before. And so here we have that vertex of the angle, and it lines up right in the middle of the rainbow of numbers. And you want to have the bottom line of the angle on this bottom line of the protractor. Notice it's not at the very bottom, it's on that bottom line on that protractor. Now, because this is the part of the angle that's lined up with 0, we're going to be using these outside numbers. You should also be able to eyeball that this is an acute angle. And since it's an acute angle, it's going to have a measurement of less than 90 degrees. So if we go over here and we're trying to figure out which of these numbers to use, you should know that it's going to be the ones that are less than 90. So there's 2 different ways to figure out which set of numbers to use. Figure out where the 0 is on your bottom line, or eyeball and know that it's acute, so that we're going to use the ones that are less than 90. So we're going to use the smaller numbers, and it's between 40 and 50, and you have these little things up here, the little notches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this angle is 45 degrees. So take a look at this one. Once again, right here, at the bottom, it's lined up on this bottom line, and the 0 is on the inside this time. And we're going to come over here and use these inside numbers. Now it's between 120 and 130. So we're going to count, and this is at 127 degrees. So this angle measures 127. We also can know that it's an obtuse angle. It's really big and wide. And so it's going to be the bigger set of numbers. Notice that these kind of count backwards from 120 to 130. That's okay. So you're going to go, this is 120, 121, 122, 123, 124. You can see the darker ones, 125, 126, and it rests on 127. So this angle is 127 degrees. Now, I want you on Edpuzzle to choose the correct answer as to what the degrees of this angle is. We're awesome at angles. Then we want to move on to triangles. So that's the simplest shape you can make, putting those angles together. And the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So anytime you have a triangle, those angles always add up to 180 degrees. So if we take a look at this triangle that I lovingly drew with the mouse, we can see we have an 80-degree angle, a 50-degree angle, and then we have x. Since I know that the angles add up to 180, I'm going to put 80 plus 50 plus x equals 180. And you can see why we have done one-step equations before we got into this. So I'm going to draw a line through my equal sign and circle my x, and then I'm going to combine my like terms. So what is 80 plus 50? So we put that right here, and we're going to carry down the x, and that equals 180. Now you have a one-step equation. So go ahead and use your property of inverses and calculate angle x for this triangle. Next triangle, we have a box in a corner, and that box, anytime you see it, stands for a 90-degree angle. So make sure you write that in your notes. A box stands for a 90-degree angle. And of course the degree symbol is just this little circle, just like you use for temperature. So this triangle has 90 degrees, 55 degrees, and over here is going to be your x. So on Edpuzzle, go ahead and calculate and enter in your answer for x. The next thing we're going to do is the area of a triangle, and this is the formula for the area of a triangle, so write that in your notes. Area is 1/2 base times height. And any side of the triangle can be the base, but the base and the height must be perpendicular to each other. So they have to have that 90-degree angle that's represented by the box. So if we were to turn this over, you could use this as a base, but then you'd have to figure out the height, and it gets really funky. So just try and use the easiest sides that you can. So our formula is 1/2, and the base is 18. So we're going to do times 18 times 6, because the 18 and the 6 have to be perpendicular. They have to have that 90-degree angle in there. So on your calculator, go ahead and calculate 1/2 times 18 times 6 and put your answer in. Once again, the area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. So here we have this triangle with 6 and 5. Go ahead and calculate the area of that triangle. In design class, maybe you've made some triangles, and you might have figured out that you can't take any 3 random lengths of something and make a triangle all the time. Sometimes you have a little extra, or sometimes it doesn't quite reach. And so there's a way that we can figure that out without actually having the hands-on way to do it. So the sum of 2 sides of the triangle must be greater than the length of the third side. So write this in your notes. The sum of 2 sides of the triangle must be greater than the third side. So we have 3 sides here that I found on the internet. We have 7, 14, and 16. So we want to have the sum 7 plus 14, is that greater than 16? I love the greater than sign. And yeah, it really is. So I think that one's good. What about 14 and 16? 14 plus 16. Is it greater than 7? And yes, it is. So that one's good. Then there's one more combination. We have 14 twice. We need 7 and 16. So we need to write down each one twice there. So 7 plus 16 is that greater than our third number, which is 14? And that answer is also yes. So these three sides will make a triangle because all of the combinations, the sum of two sides is always greater than a third side. So then go ahead and take these three numbers and see if you can add any two of them together and if they're always greater than that third side. So after you finish this Edpuzzle, you're going to actually start your geometry project. And these are the projects you've seen on my walls of my classroom the whole time. And now you get to make one. So let's talk about how to do that. You can use paper and pencil. You can do it any kind of way digitally, but make sure you're not copying someone else's work or using something that you found on the internet. And you're going to have check-ins, and I'm going to kind of write down what your drawing generally looks like so I can make sure that you're progressing and that you are actually doing your own work. So we're going to do a cool drawing, but it's not really going to start out all that cool. Okay, it's going to start out as something very simple this week. And so you're going to eventually have lots of different shapes in it, but we're not going to worry about that now. So don't try to draw what you saw on the walls of my classroom. What you want to do is you want to start out with your paper, whether it's virtual or a real piece of paper. It needs to be unlined. Printer paper would work great, a big sheet of construction paper, or just, a drawing program online. And you're going to start by leaving a 1 centimeter border all around the edges. So you have your rectangle paper, and so I'm just going to use my screen as that. And you're going to go all around the edge, and you're going to measure 1 centimeter and draw a line. 1 centimeter and draw a line down here. And then 1 centimeter away from the edge, you're going to draw a line here, and 1 centimeter away from the edge, you're going to draw a line here. Now, if you don't have a ruler at home, here's some ideas. So you can use a ruler. There's also tape measures, so the type that maybe you use for construction or measuring boards or a room. And there's also sewing. So my daughter's been making curtains for her windows, so she's been using a sewing tape measure. There's also a link here that you can click on, and no matter your screen size, it's pretty amazing, you can get a very accurate ruler. So we're looking to, on our palette, leave 1 centimeter edge all around, and we're going to do something with that later. And then for this week, you're just going to draw something simple. It does need to be school appropriate, no inappropriate body parts, no violence, okay? So don't draw like a battle scene with lots of blood, okay? That's not what we're looking for. No guns, that kind of thing. So make sure it's school appropriate, and you're going to draw something simple, and you're going to be prepared to show your progress during our Zoom on April 16th for A days and April 17th for B days. So make sure you have your simple start by then. And so I wanted to show you, I have some examples down here. Don't look too hard, okay? Find your favorite stuffed animal and draw it. Find your favorite cartoon character or your favorite animal. Or just look around you. Maybe I had a student last year that drew an amazing one of a Starbucks cup. So, maybe draw what you have on the table in front of you, whether it's some fruit or your plate from lunch. Or maybe you want to draw where you'd like to be or the meal you'd like to be having right now, right? Anybody want to go to Outback or, have a nice steak somewhere? So this person drew the swimming pool or a beach, and you've just got a house, the water, a couple of lawn chairs, and some steps. So make your original drawing not have all these shapes, okay? Just make a simple drawing. We will put the shapes in later. Do not draw all these shapes yet. Just draw your favorite teddy bear. Just draw your favorite cartoon character. Just draw the table in front of you. Or just draw where you'd like to be. And keep it really simple right now. Okay? And so you're just going to show us that you have a start and on something super simple.